Hey everyone, Livy here, back with another video, and today I'm actually doing something a little off the a little off the path of what I originally said a couple weeks ago on my community page. But anyways, today I am doing okay, here's the thing. This doesn't technically have a hashtag as far as I know, so I might have to just make one for this, but this is a VR to Cody over at Tarot Readings from a Bitch, and this is called the 5 oldest decks that I still own. This is kind of just a chance to explore those decks, talk about them, that kind of thing. Because I'm just like Cody, I'm very interested in knowing what people's oldest decks are. Like, what did they start out with, and what have they kept around since, you know? And still own has to be in there because I'm not gonna lie, there's like actually two decks that otherwise would have been in this video as like my oldest, but I got rid of them, so not mentioning those. We're moving on from that. My oldest deck, though, will surprise literally nobody who's been on my channel, like, since, you know, at least for more than 5 minutes. This is the Raven's Prophecy Tarot. This is my oldest deck. I have edged mine in this orange. And yeah, this is my oldest deck. I've talked about this so many times, but it is my first tarot deck. And let me be honest. I've said this before too, but let me be honest. I love the Raven's Prophecy Tarot. It is going to always be one of my favorites. I'm always going to have this deck. But this deck is not beginner friendly. Listen, it does follow the RWS meanings, but a lot of the meanings, like just from looking at the cards, like intuitively, don't immediately hit until after you've studied more of the guidebook, like this Chariot, right? It's not, how do I phrase this? I would not call this deck necessarily a pip deck, but at the same time, it doesn't have a lot to go off of. So again, unless you've really, really, really have studied the guidebook of this deck, it's not beginner friendly. And yet, somehow I learned tarot from this deck. Especially this High Priestess. This High Priestess is like the best always and forever. Anyways, sorry. Love this deck. Absolutely love this deck. But it was a journey. I didn't learn before like getting this deck. I didn't learn already some of the meanings of it through like online. I was looking up card meanings for tarots before I even like got my first deck. But yeah, this one, this deck is, I love it, but it's hard. I mean, you could say you could learn tarot from any tarot deck, and that's true. But you will have to work if you ever decided to make this one your first tarot deck, and that's what I did. But I was like obsessed with the artwork at the time. I had recently read The Raven Cycle from Maggie Stiefvater. So when I saw that she was coming out with this tarot deck, I literally pre-ordered and got this deck. So I have like pretty sure I have like a first printing of this. I don't have the box anymore, so I can't verify that, but I remember pre-ordering it, so I believe I do. And I don't know, this cardstock, what's interesting is that this cardstock, while it is like really glossy if I like do it on the light, it looks slightly different than what I see Llewellyn push out for this deck now. So I don't know if they've changed this cardstock, and that's why I would never like buy a backup copy, because I'm like terrified. And I don't like their cardstock normally, but I do for this deck. But yeah, so this is the Raven's Prophecy Tarot. This is my first deck, and it was my only deck for like at least 2 years. So it's filled with my energy. Literally, like, I know people talk about that a lot, but we don't really deep dive enough into what that means, like when you're actually like doing readings and such. But yeah, this deck Always responds well to me. After the Raven's Prophecy Tarot, though, there were 2 other decks that, well, actually, I don't remember the timeline of those. I don't remember if the next deck I'm going to show came first or one of those other ones. The other 2 don't really matter now, again, because, like, I got rid of them. But around the time that I was starting to get interested in getting more decks, I got this one. This is Anima Mundi. This is kind of a tarot classic now. It was on my Etsy for a while. I had become aware of it when I was learning tarot, but I kind of just watched it for a while, being like, I don't know, should I get this? I'm still learning from this deck, I don't know. But then eventually I said, fuck it, and I got it. So, as you can see, it has gold edging. I've had the deck for a little while, so you can see that it has some chipping, but it's actually not bad. It's also on this, like, this linen is so interesting. It's like as you can see, it's like a waffle textured linen. It has a matte feel. I wouldn't say it's like those really glossy linens like the Forager's Daughter I now does, but yeah. So yeah, these are the backs. Anima Mundi. What's funny about this deck, while it might be one of my oldest ones, I really haven't used this deck in a while. When I was like first starting on with tarot and I really didn't have that many, I was doing this interesting thing where I was like, when I decided to start doing like daily card pulls, I was literally trying to filter through all my decks at once. Like every day I would just pull out a different deck and do the reading with that. So I was using that more then, but not so much since my collection has like more exploded. Not to say that this deck isn't still beautiful. It is. But there's 2 things about this deck that make it that I don't always use it. Well, one, as you can see, is that it is definitely a pip deck. You could argue that has pips with feelings because like there are like scenery and stuff in it, but a lot of times it can feel a little harder. Oh, I also love this High Priestess though. Kind of one of the cards that made me want to get this deck, not gonna lie. But at the same time, what was I gonna say? At the same time, there's also an animal deck, and I love animal decks. I do, but I find that I don't always want to work with them, although this Page of Cups is so freaking adorable. Oh my god. Every time. The artwork gets me every time. It is beautiful. It's just not something I notice I'm always drawn to use, because there's like other decks where I'd want to use them more, but I do think I need to be more intentional and maybe try to use this more. I just don't know when. When do I want my timeline to be for it? Maybe a winter time of year. We're getting towards that. So maybe December, January. I don't know. But yeah, this is Anima Mundi. Very beautiful, but I'm not always called to use it now these days. But it's still in my collection. It has enough intrigue where I don't want to necessarily get rid of it. Oh, there's a guidebook in there too. But yeah, Anima Mundi. And, oh, it doesn't say where. I don't know if there's been more printings of this, but yeah, I've had this for some time. Okay, but around the time of also getting Anima Mundi, I also got this deck. This is Tarot of the Divine by Yoshi Yoshitani. Oh, I should have been saying some of the names of this. Well, Maggie's Stivater was for the Raven's Prophecy. Anima Mundi is by Megan Werweden. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm so sorry. But anyways, Tarot of the Divine. This I saw pretty early on. I think I was actually following the artist at the time when this deck was going to come out. So I was like, oh shit, time to snap this up. This artwork is beautiful. It's based on myths from around the world. Yes, please. My writer brain was happy. Oh, you can see some of the cards are missing right now. I'm using them for something else. So you're going to see if whatever I have on hand. I'm using them for, I'm trying to sort through my court cards for something, for my court card videos. But yeah, anyways, this deck. This deck. This is also technically, I don't know if this is what I would call personally a pure linen finish, because it does this weird thing where it like warps weird, as if it only has like, as you can see, this like glossy or kind of linen, sticky linen on the fronts, but it doesn't feel like it's completely linen in the middle, if that makes sense. I don't know. But anyways, cardstock's kind of, that is one of my biggest pet peeves with this deck, is that the cardstock is like weird and warpy. But other than that, artwork is beautiful. The characters depicted, stunning, right? The use of colors, it's my favorite use. It has mostly blues and red leaning, which is like my favorite combination ever of all time. But she does them in ways where there's like some other colors and things will be introduced so that you don't get like completely annoyed with the color scheme. Oh, sorry. Jeez. Okay. Sorry about that. But yeah. This is Tarot Divine. I was really into getting this deck, and I still use it on occasion. So this is a deck that makes its rounds in my collection. I most recently used it a lot in March of this year. This is like 2023, but like March of this year, I was using this deck a lot. And it's just a great one. There's always times I'm like drawn to like use it again. But more so in like, yeah, the earlier parts of the year, I notice I don't usually lean towards this in like the darker half of the year. But yeah, this is a beautiful, beautiful deck. I don't think it'll be going anywhere despite its like cardstock. I just love the stories it depicts. I'm aware of a lot of them, not all of them. Like this is obviously from indigenous Native American like folktale, but I don't know the whole story of, you know. So it's just, it is a good deck. If you are looking for like stories based on myths and stuff, this is definitely the one for you. Sorry everyone, I had to pause the video for a sec because I really need to blow my nose, but anyways, we are back. This is deck number 4, and it just so happens to be the Mini Cat Tarot by Rachelu. You can get this deck on Etsy. This is the revised edition, and for the longest time I didn't know what the hell that meant until I saw that somebody else had like a different copy of this deck where it was like, it looked like it was very like papery. And sorry, that's my cat in the background like using her scratch pad. Anyways, it used to be different, but now if you buy this deck, it looks like this. This is the box that comes in. It's like kind of glossy of a box. Has the code and everything. It's a miniature deck. It's a square deck. Like that. And it has even a little guidebook, but the guidebook doesn't have like, see, it's like mainly like keyword kind of thing. The majors get a little bit more of an explanation, but yeah, it's not like the most comprehensive thing, and that's fine. But this is the Mini Cat Tarot. These are the backs. I sometimes show this off on my channel. I like using this deck, but I only find myself called to use it at specific times. Yeah, that's literally it. I mean, because this deck, as you're going to see, this deck is a Rider-Waite-Smith clone. So again, I don't usually like find myself in the mood to use those all that often. I kind of prefer tarot decks that are doing something really original, and I guess that's basically from having the Raven's Prophecy Tarot as my first tarot deck, I guess. I don't know. But this is still one of the cutest cat decks. If you like cats and you like this kind of cutesy style, I do recommend this deck. This is the only cat deck I have, and I've seen some others that have kind of tempted me, but this is the only one I find myself called to want, because it has like a nice balance of like, the cats are illustrated, but they look like they could be like real cats, if that makes any goddamn sense, but at the same time it's in a cutesy style, so I'm not like, what's the word? I feel like if they were completely realistic looking, I don't know if I would be drawn to them. Like there's a couple decks like that, like the Grimalkin's Tarot, um, even Soul Cats by Adam Ohlers. I've been tempted, but at the same time, it's like they're too realistic, so then I'm not as interested. There goes my cat again in the background making her point. But yeah, I love this little one. And if you don't mind square decks, yeah, definitely look into this on Etsy. The creator's in the UK, though, so just be aware of that for those who have to worry about shipping and such, you know? But I've had this deck for so long. This is one of those decks where I'd be incredibly sad if I lost it, even though, again, it's just like a little Rider-Waite-Smith clone, but it's like cats in the cutest little style. And so, yeah, I'll just have it around. And the cardstock, I like this cardstock. I don't know what it is. It's like, as you can see, it has a slight gloss, but it's not a heavy gloss. It feels nice and smooth in the hands, and it has a very good bend. So as you can see, it's more thin on the thin side. So maybe not everybody would like that, but whatever this cardstock is made out of, I do like this one. So this is really nice. And yeah, that's the mini cat tarot. But finally, we're going to get into the last of the five oldest that I still own, okay? Again, still own because, again, I got rid of like 2 decks. And this one, I don't know if this will surprise anyone. Maybe not. But this is, oh, yeah, my box is fucked up, by the way. I need to, like, get a smaller pack for this. It says it here. This is the Teeny Tiny Tarot. This is a deck by Holly Audley. I love her art style. I also have her mini Divi decks, but this was the first I got, and I think, I don't remember if it actually came with I think it did come with the Ghost one. I think I got that like the same time. I don't know. But this deck, it is bridge size. These are the backs. The cardstock on this one, again, feels kind of smooth. I don't mind it, but it is thicker. I don't think people, well, I don't know if people are even riffle shuffling this. I don't riffle shuffle. But anyways, this is more, and the thing that's funny about this is, like, I got this deck, I'm pretty sure I got this deck in when did I get this deck? Was it 2020 or 2021? But yeah, it's like my fifth oldest. My collection, my tarot collection didn't really explode until like after I started watching Tarot too, by the way. Oh, only thing about this deck that annoys the shit out of me is, as you can see, the court guards in this deck do not really have a lot of diversity in design. Let me see if I can find some more. Yeah, see, they're just like figures like this. And they're all pretty much in that way and like in the same pose or whatever. So that's the only thing that bothers me about this deck. But I love this deck's color scheme. This chariot is like the best, you know, Baba Yaga. It's minimal. It is a pip deck, which is funny then that I like get so annoyed at other pip decks. But I would say in some ways it has a pip with feelings. I have been using it this month, in the month of October, as of the time I'm filming this. Because it's one of like my cute creepy decks, if that makes sense. Like, it has some things in it that you'd be wondering, I don't know about that. But at the same time, it like kind of scratches some creepy itch like that, you know, the little demon thing coming out of the needles. Oh yeah, besides the wands, which I think are even called sticks, everything else in this deck has been changed around. And I love this tower, by the way. Everything you thought you knew, and it's all tipping over. The swords are needles. The pentacles are eyes. The cups are skulls. And then, yeah, the wands are sticks. So that is that of that. It does its own thing. But I still like this deck. Oh, this is one of my favorite threes ever, because it actually like shows the meaning of this card so perfectly. I just love this deck. When I first got it, for like, I think like almost that full year I had it, I was so obsessed with this deck. But since then, I've kind of calmed down. I don't use this as often, but like I said, I pulled it out this month in October. And I guess I just don't pull it out as often because I have like other decks I gravitate to more, but sometimes I have the urge to pull this out again, and so I do. But yeah, this was a teeny tiny tarot, and that kind of concludes it. I showed you guys my 5 oldest decks that I still own. If you're curious about the 2 that I don't have anymore, one of them is called the Brit's Third Eye Tarot, and I actually do like that one, but I got rid of it because I wasn't using it very much. I just, even though the artwork is like nice, I wasn't using it very much. I wasn't called to use it very much. But that one's a good one actually for beginners, despite not having a guidebook. And the other deck what was the other deck I owned? I think the other deck I owned was called, what was it? Oh, it was like an art comp, it was like a bunch of artists came together to do this. It was like from Light Gray Art Lab Studios or something. It was like Cosmos Tarot, 2nd edition or something like that. Yeah, I don't like art. I've realized I don't like when a bunch of artists come together to do a tarot deck. So, is what it is there. But anyways, if you've watched this all the way to now, thank you so much for watching. And I hope I see you again sometime. I do appreciate every single one of you when you stop by. So thank you. And I'm going to head out now. Bye.